Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. I've been playing this game for a few hours and I wanted to give my thoughts. You do different challenges within 13 NES games: Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong, Sight Bite, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Metroid, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, The Lost Levels, The Legend of Zelda, and Zelda 2. When you open this game up, it prompts you to create a profile, and from there, it's simple as like putting in a profile picture. I of course picked this one because that one was a funny sprite. And then also it chooses you like to choose your favorite NES game or Famicom game. And this is really interesting, where it has all of the officially licensed NES games, which is just a treat to be had. Just to see random games like Wall Street Kid and Jackal, Double Dragon like 1, 2, and 3. That was like an interesting surprise. Sucks it didn't have any like Tengen games, but what are you gonna do? Pretty much it's breaking down to different modes. You basically do their speedrun mode, which is basically you do specific challenges to get the best time possible. And then also you have the World Championships mode, which is kind of like a pseudo online thing. I kind of like to think about it as where this game's kind of set up like a 99 game, which we'll be telling as we talk down the road in the video, but where you do specific challenges to get the best time for the World's Championship. You complete in like weekly challenges, stuff like that. There's also survival mode, which is basically you play with a bunch of people online. It's ghost data, of course, and you basically just play up to 8 players and do a specific challenge, and then move on to the next round, and then whoever is last wins. And then of course there's the multiplayer mode. But I've been mostly playing the speedrun mode for the most part. I dabbled in the other modes as well. And for the speedrun mode, like for example, like the first challenge you do is in Mario 1, where you try to get the first mushroom as fast as possible. And I was just sitting there for like a good solid like 20-30 minutes just trying to shave off each section. I think the first time I did it in about 4 seconds, and then I was able to like shave it down to like 3:30 maybe, something like that. But yeah, like that's what I'm talking about with the gameplay loop is really nice of you trying to get the best time, trying to get as fast as possible. And that's where the game shines, I feel. The game really shines when you really try to, like, you know, you're quote unquote locked in on trying to get the best time and shave off a little bit. Because like as soon as you see like there's different like letter grades that you get. Like first thing I got was like an A+, and I'm like, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better, and like you challenge. That's where it gets interesting. Where it starts to fall, in my opinion, is the fact that there's, like, for example, like there is like in Zelda 1, there is one challenge where you have to get the heart container, and the heart container is like a different spot on the map, and you have to follow the path basically, because when you start up a challenge, it shows you a little demo on how you're supposed to do it. And for those type of challenges, you have to do it in the correct route. It shows you it, so you have to go through. Okay, this side of the map could go left, then down, then up. You know, that sort of thing. You have to follow that path, because if you don't, it's gonna rewind you back to the wherever you were before, and you have to follow a specific thing. Or in Kid Icarus, probably one of the worst NES games, where it's like, okay, they put you in a room with a bunch of pots. Okay, knock out all these pots. And you have to do it in a specific order while also leaving the one in the middle for last. And this is where I start to feel like these guardrails are in place. I understand this scene as like, you know, a baby's first speedrun game. So like, you know, for people who are not that familiar in speedruns, it's like, you know, give them a chance, you know, practice, but also like, you know, follow a path so they know, okay, this is the fastest route to go to, and this is how to do it. This is where I'm like, why don't they put like a pro mode or something like along those lines of like, you know, like giving you a chance to challenge yourself, but also, you know, find your own way to get like the best strat. And to see that like, oh, this is the meta, and you have to follow the meta to a T, otherwise you can't even progress. And it's like, why? I don't understand.
There is confusion! I was confused!
So there's also World Championships that I've talked about, where you basically you do up to like 5 different challenges back to back to try to get like the best time. And there is no leaderboards, which is kind of weird. I don't know why. Of course, Nintendo doing some weird decisions. They just decided to put a leaderboard. I don't know how that hurt the game in any way, but it would make more sense. Maybe because like it's like, okay, you get the best time, and then it's like, okay, this is only for a week, and then at the end of the week, I guess you get to know if you one, but like, why not just have a leaderboard? Like, this is where it's like weird. Then there's survival mode, like I talked about, which is fun. I feel like that's another side aspect of it, is that multiplayer wise, this is fun. This is again just another weird Nintendo decision. Why isn't this fully online? I don't get why it has to be close data. Like I'm fine if they're like, like for example in F-099, if there's not enough players to fill a room, they'll fill it up with bots. Like they'll basically line it up with some bots to fill it up. So I like having that option, because like, let's say down the road in like 10 or even 5 years or even 6 months from now, which is where I could see this game go, like, where like nobody starts playing, then okay, it's dead. I can't really play online because I have to play with someone, and there's no bots, there's no any of that stuff. So I guess, like, from as a backup perspective, it makes sense to have it, but to have it only option just doesn't really make any sense. And this is where also like it gets into like the value proposition. Like, why wasn't this an NSO drop? Like, this could have easily been like just like the 99, where especially like Tetris 99 for example, where it has like, it came for free, of course, if you have that base NSO subscription, but then also like down the line they had a physical copy in stores that you can get. It came with along with a little, like, I think it was 3 or 6 months, NSO code that you can play online. And something like that would have made a lot more sense. Like, I like that it is a physical edition to some degree with the deluxe set. I love physical games, of course. I'm a physical all the way. So like, that's nice to see that option, but also like, really widen that pool. And I feel like that would really incentivize people to use NSO and really maybe subscribe to it. Like, for what it is, I'm enjoying it for what it is, but at the same time, it's like, again, it's also the other thing of like, this is NES games, and Nintendo has been hammering us home with NES games since like the Game Boy Advance / the GameCube era with Animal Crossing, and then the NES Classics on GBA. It's like, for a while we had the Wii Virtual Console, the Wii U Virtual Console, the NSO app, and the NES Classic Edition 2016, where like they just keep going to the well of NES games. I feel like NES, of course, has been long played out. I mean, I love the NES. I'm not the shit on the NES. Like, I love it. One of the first consoles, if not the first console that I ever laid my hands on. So I do have heavy nostalgia for it. But at the same time, I'm like, why not do Super Nintendo? This is where it also gets like lacking. Where as well, it's like with the challenges themselves, it really just boils down to getting as fast as possible. And this is where, like, NES Remix comes into the mix, where NES Remix was like, okay, do this specific challenge in this game, where it's like, as Luigi, do this thing in like Mario Bros 2 or something like that, just switch things up, where it's like, not so much like, you're stuck in the box like Donkey Kong, where it's like one of the first challenges was like, okay, climb a ladder, pick up the hammer, get the Pauline, and then the last ones, like, where usually the last challenges for this are just like beat the game as fast as possible. And I'm just sitting here like, why are we just sitting in the box? Like, again, it's the guardrail analogy. Like, we're sitting in the box. Okay, we're only gonna play within the physics and the methodologies of said game. Metroid, for example, it's like, okay, get this power up, or get to the gate up the top to the right or whatever, and and jump in a specific direction to get it to the right thing and all this stuff. And it's like, why not like play around with a little bit? Like, why wasn't this another NES remake? That's a whole other thing. Why didn't they do SNES remakes? Why didn't they do any of that stuff? And I know people are doing some hardcore copium by saying, oh, this is called NES edition, so we're gonna expect like a Super Nintendo edition and CD4 edition or even GameCube edition. And I'm just sitting here like, no, Nintendo's always like this. They try something new and then they move on to the next thing. They're not gonna make it Super Nintendo edition, a Game Boy edition, or any of that. Like, no, this is something to part of the lineup for 2024, and that's it. They're gonna move on. Regardless, though, I am having fun with the game, but it is lacking, I feel like, in content, and it just overall just, it plays itself out very quickly. And I'm not so much like clamoring to like jump back in. I'm kind of just like, I'll play here and there, get the best time, do a couple challenges here and there, and then, move on to like. But I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Have you picked it up? Have you tried it out? Are you interested in picking up? Let me know how this video swayed you one way or the other. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Like this video, of course, if you liked it, dislike it, you didn't. Subscribe down below, ring that bell for notifications for more videos like these. I promise more videos are coming. With that being said, it's been Moawe signing out.